Hi, today we're here to tell you about our internship at Ubongo, Tanzania, and what it's like studying abroad. Ubongo is a nonprofit organization with a vision and mission of educating and empowering Africa's 440 million kids to love learning. Their show teaches kids science, reading, math, literacy, and critical thinking skills. And the best part is that their show is supported by human-centered research. They work directly with the kids and their caregivers to provide effective content.
So this past semester, we had the incredible privilege to intern with Ubongo. Ubongo is an international organization that is based in Africa and focuses on children's edutainment. The overall goal of Ubongo is to create a love of learning from kids age 3 to kids age 14. This process is really important because it keeps kids in school, it keeps kids interested, and it keeps them wanting to learn more to become better citizens of the world.
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and my initial reason for choosing this internship was because I had a global public health interest, and as a first-generation Asian American, I wanted to see not only our differences in the world, but our similarities and how that can unite us on a global scale.
So I initially chose this internship because it was a chance unlike any other. I have traveled before, I've lived in other countries, but I wanted to experience a new culture and experience a new side of public health. There was no other opportunity like this as far as the internship was concerned, and I knew that I wanted to do something that would make an impact on me as a person and me as a public health practitioner.
My name is Michelle Khomeini, and the reason I chose to intern at Ubongo is to give back to my community. I was born and raised in Cameroon in West Africa, and I lived there up until I was 7 years old, and then I came to the US. And so for me, I wanted my first major outreach to be where it all started. Working at Ubongo, I was able to create art for education. Art is a big passion of mine, and I really wanted to be able to explore it.
Hi, my name is Martina. I chose to do this internship because I was really interested in gaining a global public health perspective. I also was very interested in understanding my roots much better. My parents immigrated to the US from Nigeria, and I had never gotten to go back or really learn anything about the culture, so this was the perfect opportunity to do so. And then I was really excited to get some hands-on field research experience, so that's why I went.
So I decided to choose this internship because initially hearing about this, I was really excited to experience a new opportunity. Everything that this internship entailed was very intriguing to me. In addition to that, experience public health in a new culture seemed very interesting to me. I was very interested to see the overlap of culture and health in a whole other country, and also get to make an impact within this community and this culture. In addition to that, I knew I had the opportunity to make some music with this company, so that was something that really interested me and part of the reason that I chose to do this internship.
Okay, so I just want to point out before I go into what I did as an intern, that for students that are really interested in going and don't feel like they have the financial means to do so, you can also apply to the Gilman Scholarship and the Education Abroad Scholarship, which both aided and fully funded my trip abroad, so definitely try that out. So what I did at this internship, I basically composed, me along with my colleague Jasmine, composed parental caregiver research tools that really helped parents interact with kids on the program content shown on the show Akili and Me. I also worked on composing the socio-emotional research tools, which gauged whether the kids were understanding emotion and practical skills from the program as well. And then I also researched into the health and wellness of Maasai children, those are children in Arusha, and how they handle public health in their everyday lives as well as their school lives. So basically that sums up the impact evaluation that I did on Akili and Me seasons 1 and 2. And I just followed whatever our preceptor wanted us to do. So that's what interns do.
So with my personal experience, what I did was the impact evaluation of the show Akili and Me. Through the show, they were using cartoons and catchy songs in order to teach young children about mathematics, science, and literacy. What was really fun about this experience was that I got to actually see the hands-on side of research, which meant going from administrative work of IRB documents to the whole research process and pilot testing different elements of the intervention. I also got to work on some hand washing kit studies, which basically meant taking what the children were learning about hand washing and personal hygiene and going back and testing their actual hands to see what kind of microbes were there and was the messages conveyed effectively through the show.
So what I specifically did at Ubongo was in the pre-production side of things. So I was in the production office in Dar es Salaam, and I was working on Akili and Me and Ubongo Kids. So that was content creation. What that means is that I was working to create storylines and scripts that would weave the proper STEM and social emotional learning objectives together in order to create something that was fun and engaging and actually educational without kids maybe necessarily noticing. We also focused on the literacy segment for season 3 for Akili and Me, where we did a lot of work trying to get a prototype that engaged the kids, had the right amount of learning objectives per minute, and also was just fun and enjoyable. Overall, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of different people in pre-production, work on climate change and HIV/AIDS centered episodes, and I learned a lot about how to research, how to write, how to engage with people, and it was an incredible experience.
So at Ubongo, my job consisted of mainly these 3 things: storyboarding, user testing, and voice acting. As a storyboard artist, I was given a script and I was asked to create images that would later be animated. For the user testing, I was asked to create images that would correspond with the episode script. The purpose of that was to be able to read the script and show the pictures to the kids in order to test their understanding. And so for one user testing project, I was asked to create images for a story about Akili and Me and his travels with letter A in order to return letter A back to the alphabet kingdom. And so you see images of Akili and Me and the letter A on their quest, and these are just some of the images that I created for user testing. For storyboard artists, you can see images on the bottom right corner of an example of a storyboard, part of a storyboard that I did for an episode. For the voice acting, I created French audio for their French YouTube channels in order to promote Akili and Me and Ubongo Kids to French speakers around the world.
What I did at the internship, starting off initially before we arrived, I helped do work for Dr. B, and within this I did user testing and created a baseline survey to test some of the health content that they had done. In addition to that, while I was there, I did work with pre-production. Just like Hannah had mentioned, we worked with the Akili and Me Season 3 doing literacy. In addition, we did Ubongo Kids Season 5 and brainstorming for episodes such as for HIV, climate change, and more. So working a lot with script writing and editing and brainstorming within the pre-production team. In addition to that, I got to experience some studio work. So I did Ubongo Kids and Akili and Me narration, songwriting, and recording. So I had the opportunity to write some songs or jingles or do English versions of some of the Swahili versions they had already had. And I got to record that as well. So I did a lot of work in the studio in addition to working with the pre-production team.
What was really great about this experience too was the immersion into the culture. I got to spend my birthday weekend in Zanzibar, which is a beautiful island. This experience was so robust that I learned how strong I am, not only physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, because I got to really grow from it, not only professionally, but personally. So my favorite things there were learning Swahili, even with my really strong American accent, as well as tasting all the great foods, and I would say my favorite food was all of them, just because if you put something in front of me, I'll eat it. So we came back with fuller bellies but fuller hearts.
So while abroad, it wasn't all work. We definitely got to play. We took a trip to the Arusha Cultural Center, where we were able to learn about the artifacts in Arusha, a lot of the history, gain more perspective of the culture there. We also got to visit the clubs there. That was an interesting scene, but you get to make new friends. We learned some key Swahili, climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, just first base though, not the whole thing. Wasn't ready for that, but it was very exciting. Got to do a lot.